right, so this video is my opinion. I've been incarcerated in Florida. I know how this goes. And I've lived with people incarcerated who's taken lives. I know how all this goes, the game politics that goes with it. I get all that. So I want to break this down. I don't want this to be anything towards the family. I understand they just got hit with a wild thing out of left field, okay, with this guy taking a plea. I get all that. So I want to break this down as best I can, okay? So let's jump right into it. Kohberger, he's a tall, weird, lanky dude. Yeah, always has a weird look on his face, okay? Going through the prison system, unfortunately, one thing people have to understand is just because this guy has murders, right? Murders on his record. He's going in there with murders. People are not going to initially jump on him for that, right? Unfortunately, inside the prison system, that is not looked down on. Sometimes it is looked, it's a pass. Sometimes it's like a badge of honor, if you will, just because you took someone's life. Don't get mad at me. I don't make the rules. I'm just giving you insight, okay? But it gets better. Trust me. So I'll give you an example. A gang member who, killed one of his ops in the hood or whatever, he comes in the prison system, is not looked down on, right? Somebody who, there's many examples I could put here where it's looked up on, right? Now, many people question, well, I thought that in prison that there's prison justice, like how they do chomos, right? Chomos have it very bad, people. They get effed with every single day. There's not a day inside a prison a chomo has an easy day. It doesn't go like that. Prison justice is real. And people should be grateful for inmates every day for what they do to chomos. If you only knew, right? It doesn't go like that the same way with murders, right? So what I think initially will happen with Kohberger is he'll get to prison and he'll go through his orientation process. He'll go through classification. He'll get his little job or whatever. And I think, like a little chameleon that he is, he'll kind of fit in until somebody tests him. Because having murders is not always a good thing if he can be a chameleon and people ignore the fact that he has murders for the fact that they're kind of scared of him or whatever. It doesn't go like that. Someone's going to try him. And he will be, and this is the most important aspect of the video, he will be a neutron. What is a neutron? A neutron is somebody who is not a part of a gang. But in his instance, he cannot be a gang member. And let me explain that, break that down. He's a white dude, okay? I'm not familiar with all the gangs in Idaho, but any white organization is not going to let him join. Believe it or not, prison gangs have, morals, if you will. They have oaths and bylaws, policies, if you will, rules, right? Basically just rules. And there's no white gang that's going to let him join because one of their top rules, oaths and bylaws is if you hurt a woman or child, you cannot be part of our organization. So he's dead on arrival of joining any white organization. He's not going to join any black organization. If you don't know, prison is ran by races. It's very, very race ran in there. But there are some gangs that let different races join. One example would be the GDs, Gangster Disciples, let any race join. They're not going to let him join either because of harming a woman, killing a woman. That's just how it goes with gangs inside of prison. So he's going to be dead on arrival for joining a gang. He'll be a neutron, and that brings me to my next point. And that's going to be his downfall. See, because he can't join a gang, he'll be in prison. He'll start doing his orientation process, the beginning of prison, going through classification, getting assigned the job, blase blase. But at some point, someone is going to test him. Inmates have access to the TV. They don't have all the channels in the world, but they have a select, basic cable channels, right? And believe it or not, the local news and the news is watched heavily on the inside of prison. For that matter, soap operas get played a lot. And if you believe it or not, so Cops is heavily played inside of prisons because it's the only shows on these channels that these basic cable channels that they'll show, they know who Kohberger is. They've been following the case. They're A, they know who he is. B, they're expecting him. And C, they're probably knowledgeable on the case in general. It's all if you've followed the case yourself, you may or may not be from Idaho, but imagine the coverage in Idaho itself, right? I can remember in the Gap Petito case, I remember watching clips from everywhere, but in my local area, there was this massive coverage that wasn't everywhere. That's going to be his downfall. Being a neutron is going to be his downfall because someone's going to try him at some point. Now, it could be, this part is hard to predict, right? It could be another neutron that tries him, right? It could be somebody who's not part of the gang. He's feeling the pressure of the other gangs. He's trying to make a name for himself. He knows the severity of the case, and he folds him. He pops off on him. He does whatever he does. That could be very well what happens. But most likely, what's going to happen is somebody in a gang is going to get him, right? The head of a gang is going to send their crash dummy, right? Someone who's just recruited, someone who's trying to get down in a gang, no matter what gang it is, right? The first gang to get him is going to get that recognition, right? Keep in mind, even though I say that just because he killed people, right, that doesn't give him an unnecessary X on his back. It doesn't get him looking. People won't necessarily look down on him inside the prison for that. The fact that he has multiple bodies, if you will, that's going to be the absolute pressure point for any gang to put a hit on him, because the first gang that gets him, right, makes him fold, whoops his ass, makes him check in, whatever, stabs him up, whatever sort of violence they apply on him, they're going to get the credit, right? Because that's going to be the gang to make Bryan Kohberger, right, fold, right? So let's just, for example, let's say the Crips do it. Prison, everyone in prison is very nosy. It is to your advantage to know, what's this guy in here for? What gang does he roll with? It's for your own safety, right? So everyone in prison does a lot of gossiping, and everyone in prison is very nosy. It's really, really to your advantage to know all that, right? Because if something comes your way, you want to know, like, what am I dealing with, right? So, but if you already know when the situation comes, you know what gang this guy is in, or who he rolls with, or what he's in here for. It's just to your knowledge. But to that point, gangs are going to want that clout. Gangs are going to want to get him and have it under him, right? Because in this example, if the Crips did get him, let's just say the Bloods had a hit on him too. If the Crips got to him first, it's a go between gangs, right? It shows a power struggle, right, on a hit, right? It shows that the Crips are stronger than the Bloods because they got him first. So it becomes a whole power thing, and he is going to be a trophy. They're gonna have it at him. I don't know if it's going to be day one. I don't know if it's going to be day 40 or year 3. I have no idea. But my prediction is he'll get in there like a chameleon. He'll be able to fit in, do his thing. He'll have a stone face like you always see him on the media. And at some point, people are going to get tired of that. Pressure busts pipes is what they say in prison. Pressure bust pipes. What does that mean? People inside a prison, man, they have a lot of stress on their heads. They're away from their families. They're doing a lot of time. There's just a lot of pressure when you're inside a prison, and every day goes, and pressure just builds up, and at some point, he's going to get hit. So I honestly think that Kohberger goes in there, he survives a little bit, but he's going to get hit. He's not going to be able to join a gang. There's just no way. There's no organization that's going to take him because his crimes. He unalived innocent women that were sleeping. Right? He's a complete coward. There's no gang that's going to invite him on in. It's just not going to happen, and he's going to become a trophy because of what the media has become. I would be very surprised if Kohberger goes to GP. in the beginning. I mean, I don't even know how much time this guy's going to get, right? But nobody can go to confinement for 50 years. It's just not going to happen, right? I've never seen it. That place will make you crazy. You're going to want to go to GP, okay? If he checks in, he's going to go to confinement. They're going to take this guy up through there. I don't know if it's going to be on day 1 or on year 40. Who knows? I doubt it's going to be year 40, but meat potatoes is they're going to get this guy most likely after a little bit of time. You got to understand when he gets off that bus and he goes to that orientation system and all that, the corrections officer, the officers, the COs in there, they already know he's a trophy. They already know people are going to be up on him. So gangs, despite what you think about them, they're not stupid. They know the COs know this. They're going to be watching him. They're going to be plotting on him. They're going to wait for the right time. In the beginning of the process of this, it's not smart for the gangs to attack him because everyone's on high alert. Got a celebrity. Unfortunately, that's what he's become, and that's what he wanted. But he's coming through here, and it's just not smart to get him off top. So they're going to let him live a little bit. It eventually, right? It's like anything on social media. All this is going to die down, and y'all are going to forget about this guy for a little bit until we see it on all your news apps that bam, he's been hit. That is what I strongly predict, and I cannot wait to come back here to do a follow-up video because watch what I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Keep in mind the officer of the officer that got convicted for the George Floyd stuff. Man, I can't think of his name right now. It's right on my head. The thinking about pardoning this guy and everything. You guys know who it is, right? Damn, what's his name? I can't think of it. The guy, it's been viral. His knees on George Floyd's neck. Despite what you think about that case, despite if you think it's an overdose, despite if you think he killed the guy, I'm sure you guys are all going to correct me in the comments, and please do. Bonehead moment on me right now. But why do I bring him up? Because he got in there, he got comfortable. The heat is on him, and at some point, what happened? They stabbed him up. It's going to be the same thing with Kohberger. I can't believe I can't think of this cop's name right now. But anyway, leave it in the comments. Y'all let me know. Brain fart. But smash a like, man. That's what's going to happen, man. This is coming at you from an ex-con. I've been there, done that. I understand gang politics. I know how this goes. And that's exactly how it's going to happen with this guy. Just because the judge gives him whatever amount of time he has, that is the least of his worries. And this is why I hope this video lands in the family's inbox, because I know y'all are disappointed in the plea deal, but take it from an ex-con that's living his life right now. It's far from over, and y'all will get your justice one way or the other. What's up, guys? Hope you enjoyed the video. Do me a favor, hit that like, subscribe to my clip channel at WHITEBOYRADIO Clips. And in the description box is the link to be a member. Become a member if you can. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Stay safe, stay smart. Peace.